Do you speak English? I wonder if you have ever made a New Year's resolution to learn a new language. I admire anyone who makes a determined effort to learn the language of their host country and are willing to try to avoid asking that embarrassing question, do you speak English, at every opportunity. After all, without a basic knowledge of the language, culture and customs, much of the new life that was hoped for will never be achieved. Now, I'm not talking about not seeking translation support when dealing with medical, legal and financial matters, where it's often important to seek professional assistance. I won't pretend that learning a language is easy as one gets older. It's not, since learning a new language takes perseverance and effort. I was pleased to read in the papers recently that both Prince George and his sister, Princess Charlotte, are learning Spanish at their young age. They do have one major advantage, of course, in that their nanny is Spanish. As well as the acceptance of the need to reach out to a wider world, the appreciation, skill and some proficiency in communicating in another language will help these young people to recognise that they do not live in a solely English-speaking world, and will help to give them a wider perspective of countries and cultures outside the United Kingdom. During my time as a school inspector working in Wales as well as in England, I was always pleased to meet many young children who were confident in speaking both Welsh and English. The very act of learning a second language at such a young age makes the brain more receptive to the learning of other languages later in their school life. I recall detailed research reports that indicated that children learning both English and Welsh achieved far higher success rates when it came to learning other languages than their English counterparts. The message is clear. To be a successful linguist, it's important that youngsters start learning a second language, any language, early in life. I often hear from those planning to live in Spain who wisely make a determined effort to learn the language for some years before they even attempt to leave the UK. Others arrive in Spain and suddenly realise and panic after a few brisk encounters at the town hall that some grasp of the language would be useful. It's at this stage that those long-forgiven linguaphone tapes suddenly see daylight after many years. Sometimes the newly arrived find themselves attending overcrowded language classes provided by the town hall, whilst others seek private lessons or attend a crash course. Whatever the approach, a recognition that not everyone in the world speaks English is a good start. Many teachers of Spanish will confidently assure expats arriving in Spain that anyone over the age of 50 can successfully learn the language. I question this assertion as basically a ploy to gain more generous fee-paying students, although I'm sure that many will contradict me. Let's be honest, most older people find that learning a new language later in life is challenging, but not impossible. Whatever the result, the effort is always appreciated by the locals, and the ability to speak a few sentences and to understand what's going on is invaluable when starting a new life in Spain or any other country for that matter. Many experts maintain that a grasp of English, Spanish and Chinese is all that is needed to conquer the linguistic world. I believe this to be true, since Spanish is the second most used language in the world after English. It always pleases me when I hear that Spanish is being taught in British schools, since I've always believed that this is the natural second language and considerably more useful than French in today's world. No, I'm not a great enthusiast for the teaching of French in British schools, but it is certainly better than nothing at all. I was once told that the best way for those living in another country to learn a new language is to have an affair with a new partner from the country of your choice. Now, I'm not suggesting that readers go in for partner swapping, but the point is that for learning to be successful, it requires a thorough immersion in the culture and traditions of the country, and not only learning the language as a dry academic exercise. You have been listening to Do You Speak English? By Barrie Mahoney. This article is part of the Letters from the Atlantic series. If you'd like to find out more about me, my books, my blogs and podcasts, please go to my website www.barriemahoney.com. And thank you for listening.